around. Today could be a beautiful day. You don't even know. Today could be a beautiful day if you just let go. Today could be a beautiful day. You don't even know. Today could be a beautiful day if you just let go.
This is the 80s Show on iHeartRadio.
Let's go. Come on, let's go. Say ho, ho. Say ho, whoa, ho, whoa. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Yes. Fighting off this cold. Fighting off this cold and whatever else is going with it. Are you getting that? Are you getting that sort of like, oh, there's so much to be done before the holidays and you got to get it all out of the way? And as a byproduct, you're not really sleeping all that much. You're a little run down. And if you're like a lot of people I know, over the last day or so, you felt that little tickle creep into the back of your throat that says, ooh, this could go either way. You could be a mess running a fever when your kids are opening up gifts and not enjoy the spirit of the Yuletide season that you're working so hard to get to. You could wind up with a flu. It could wind up being an ipecac situation where you're on the toilet horking up into the bathtub if you're not very careful. If you're like me and a lot of people, you're doing that thing right about now where you're teetering on the brink. Could go either way. So good health to you today in the run-up toward the joyous Yuletide season. Another thing that tends to happen in the run-up to the joyous Yuletide season is you tend to take stock because the year's coming to an end. And you tend to look back over the last 12 months and go, ooh, what did I do? What did I set out to do? Did I really achieve any of those things? A lot of people think about their New Year's resolutions this time of year, and they go, you know, strangely enough, I wasn't a rip-toned super athlete with single-digit body fat by the time February rolled around. In fact, I think I put on a few pounds. If anything, I've gotten pastier and fattier, and, well, I don't know. What shall I do about this? I'll console myself with some bacon-wrapped bacon. That's what a lot of people tend to do. And if that's you, don't feel bad about it. Feel like everybody else about it. Because that's what happens time after time. But people do tend to take stock at the end of the year. People do tend to assess the situation in terms of the last 12 months. And I hope you failed at a lot of things in the past year. Not because I would wish failure upon you. But I hope you failed in the last 12 months because failure means you're doing something. Means you're trying. Means you are attempting, you're pushing yourself, you're pushing life, trying to get it to fit into the box that is the shape of your dreams. And I hope you failed a lot because that means you've tried a lot. Now, if you haven't failed at all, chances are you might have thought, oh, it'd be nice to change this, it'd be nice to change that, it would be kind of cool to have some things be different in my life by the end of 2014. You probably thought that. But if you haven't experienced the bitter, stinging taste of failure in your mouth multiple times over the last 12 months, it means you're probably not trying. And you know what that means? It means you're probably not getting closer to any of these goals that you had. You're probably not getting closer to any of these changes you wanted to make. So bear in mind, as you look toward the next 12 months, Michael Jordan once said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've almost lost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed.
iHeartRadio shines the spotlight on Led Zeppelin.
Due to the heavy guitar-driven blues rock sound of their first two albums, Led Zeppelin are frequently recognized as the progenitors of heavy metal. However, the band's unique style drew from a wide variety of influences, including folk music. The group's later albums saw greater experimentation and were accompanied by record-breaking tours that earned the band a reputation for excess and debauchery. Rolling Stone magazine described them as the heaviest band of all time, the biggest band of the 70s, and unquestionably one of the most enduring bands in rock history. Keep listening to iHeartRadio for the next chapter of Led Zeppelin. If you can't wait, get more at iHeartRadio.com. Keyword Led Zeppelin.
And now, this week's Rock Almanac.
The Steve Miller Band's Fly Like an Eagle single was released in 1976. This week in 1979, Kiss performed their last concert with their original lineup at the Toledo Sports Arena until 1996. In 1982, The Who played their final concert, at the time, at Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens. 1983, Keith Richards married model Patty Hansen on his 40th birthday in Cabo San Lucas. Mick Jagger was the best man. Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA passed Michael Jackson's Thriller to become the second longest-lasting album in the U.S. Top 10, December 21st, 1985. 1992, Nirvana released the Incesticide B-Sides and Rarities compilation, and this week in 93, MTV York episode.
That's your look back at this week's Rock Almanac.
Hey, you, what's that sound? I'm coming so loud from your radio dial. ADV, get it down when you're rocking the jams. Here I am, going back once again. I'm ruling all city like a king.
So there's all sorts of interesting things going on at the moment. Sony hacks, diplomatic relations being opened with Cuba. We'll chat about that. We'll explain it. Well, I'll have it explained to me like I'm 5, and then I'll pass on the information so we can all kind of glean as to what's going on. But, yeah, I like Conan's take on it.
This is really big news. This morning, President Obama announced that the U.S. is going to reopen diplomatic relations with Cuba. With Cuba! President Obama wanted to act quickly before Seth Rogen makes a movie about Castro.
Yeah. How do you feel about how do you feel about the whole situation with the Sony hacks? Make no mistake. This is the first battle of the cyber war, and we lost. A lot of people dismiss it as like, we don't get to see those goofballs in a movie, yet somehow the world keeps turning. And yeah, that take on the situation is absolutely true and correct. But there's a lot more at stake. And we'll get into that later after we take a look at the events of today in our segment, My Witness News, in no way, shape, or form fair, certainly not balanced. Funkhauser, how are you? What's going on in the world?
Yeah, things are good, man. I mean, with me, probably not with the world.
Are things good with you because of what you did last night that we were talking about on?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not Jewish, so I don't celebrate Hanukkah. I learned how to say it last night because I did a Hanukkah special for another radio station with 12 Jewish princesses.
They were all girls?
Yeah.
No Jewish dudes in your pornocopia.
We did have a
Hanukkah celebration.
There was a singing rabbi there that sang some cover songs, which was interesting. And we had a reverend there. The Reverend Bill Freiberger was there. Here's a little plug for the Reverend.
How did? Well, okay. So, how Jewish were these porn chicks that you had on the show?
2 of them were married into the club, and all the other ones were, I guess, fairly Jewish. Everybody brought pickles and what's that? What are those chocolate gold coins?
Oh, those are good.
Gelt.
I think they chocolate gold coins.
Yeah, that was a good time. I learned a lot about Hanukkah.
From the porn stars?
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder how Jewish they are in their approach to doing porn. Like, I wonder if they keep kosher. I wonder if before they shoot a scene, a rabbi inspects the meat, so to speak. Like I say, all the time, Funkhauser's life, like, just a day in it, if it was lived by anybody else besides Funkhauser, that would be a story that everybody told their buddies at bars for the rest of their days. Like, dude, tell us about that time you were with 12 Jewish porn stars on the first day of Hanukkah. Oh, you don't want to hear that one again. Yeah, we really do. Tell us about it. That would be like the story that anybody else told their entire life in a bar for as long as they walk the earth. With Funkhauser, it's just another day at the office.
Yeah, the rabbi was really enjoying himself. And I was, being a super producer and producing and, not being affected by the material. But the rabbi sure was. And he says, at what point do you consider this just a job? And I said, like a couple weeks in. After
a couple weeks in.
It's like working at Disneyland. What's up, Mickey? How's it going? Yeah.
Did you, when you first started doing it, had you had any professional experience in the adult entertainment industry?
Not professional, no.
Well, most of us. I have, literally all the time. I've actually seen
contractor, I'd say.
Independent contractor. It was funny. I was like surfing porn a little while ago, and I was just like, hey, wait a second. I've seen this chick before. Well, I think I've seen this scene before. I've seen let me just go to something else. Hey, I've seen this chick in this scene, too, and let me check out something else. No, seen this before, too. Oh, no, it's finally happened. I've seen all the porn. It was a dark time. I'm waiting for them to make something new. Was there a point when you first started your professional relationship in the adult industry where you would, where people would, the equivalent of like, hey, in the 6th grade, do you want to come up and solve this problem on the board? No, I'll just sit here and take the 0. Was there a point where you became visibly inappropriate in the situation and had to stay behind the board?
Yes.
And at what point did that stop happening? A couple weeks in?
Well, yeah. It occasionally would happen here and there when a prop was needed. And I learned quickly that was not part of the contract. And I was the wrong sex for the action.
So you were not the prop.
So now I have to kindly decline when they need a prop. That, and I got a great girlfriend. Man,
that's yeah. Well, a great and understanding girlfriend. I think it's important to add.
Yes, very understanding.
Because if I were to, if my sister wanted to date you, which she couldn't because she's married, but if my sister wanted to date you, I would be okay with it. But that's only after getting to know you and know that you're not a nefarious, on-the-make type of guy trying to get busy with porn stars in your job. You're really not. You do a very good job of compartmentalizing your life. And that's something that I know, and like I said, I'd be cool with my sister dating you. But that level of understanding required, that leap of faith required in a new relationship for you to be able to continue to do your job without having to deal with, how was work today when you got home? Like that, it speaks to not only you, but also to the level of understanding that your girlfriend inherently possesses.
Well, I think the key is to be 100% transparent.
Yeah.
And tell her everything,
Yeah.
So last night I had the pleasure of taking on photography. I was also the photographer for the event. I took a whole bunch of pictures here, photography, evidence. And girlfriend, when I came home last night, what'd you do today? And I just showed her my picture roll. I said, this is what happened. And she goes,